Hey, good afternoon, fam. Good afternoon. Happy Saturday to everybody. Happy Saturday. Listen, hope everybody is well today, man. It is a wonderful, beautiful, sunny day out here in Maryland. I'm in Columbia, Maryland right now as we speak, and I decided to just come out and, take a stroll real quick, right? But I wanted to take a moment to talk to you guys about an article and I'm getting a lot of articles from Money Wise lately, and I guess it's the algorithm. Who knows? So the title for this one says, "I'm 59 years old, single, and dreaming of retirement, but I'm still carrying a mortgage balance of $80,000. Do I have to wait to leave the workforce until it's fully paid off?" Right? There's a couple of things on here that I want to touch on because I know I do a lot of talks in reference to these mortgages that we take on, and I personally believe if somebody out there would do the numbers, if somebody out there would do the numbers, they will come to the realization that these mortgages are the reason why retirement income has went down dramatically, because a lot of people are pouring in so much of their future wealth into home ownership, and it doesn't pay off. You understand? People are buying homes at 500 grand, 600 grand, 700 grand, and 6-7% interest. If you look at how much you paid in interest over time, that's literally your wealth just gone, just like that. Okay? That is your wealth gone, just like that. Right? And when I share this with people, they get upset at me. And I can understand the reason why some people would get upset, because they're looking like, man, I got a mortgage. If this guy saying I did the wrong thing, I'm not saying that. Again, if you guys watch quite a few of my videos, I let you know that I love homes. Homes is a beautiful thing. It is a beautiful thing. It's a place to raise children, build memories. But is it worth your future? Is the question. Let me read this to you. It says right here, if she retires with the mortgage, she joined a growing share of older Americans who've done so. In 1989, 24% of Americans aged 65 to 79 had a mortgage, home equity loan, or home equity line of credit on their primary residence. 24% in 1989. By 2022, that number jumped to 41%. Almost half of the people between that age group that had a home doubled, right? Doubled, almost double. I'm sorry, to 41%. Okay? I did a video a while back, and that video I stated that a lot of people are probably going to die still owing a mortgage balance. Okay? And most of them, the reason why that is again, they're taking most of their life savings and most of their income and used it to pay for a mortgage, and they were never able to significantly save enough money for retirement. Outside of the mortgage, they had the maintenance of the property. Then they had taxes that in some area goes up. If your home get assessed and the value of your property increase, your taxes also increase. Okay? These are things that a lot of people don't consider when they buy these homes, and it starts to dip into their wealth. Right? And that's what I want to talk about. Now, number two, in that article, it says she's single. She is single. not divorced, single. I did a video earlier, and there were some people that got mad at me in that video because they were saying, well, nah, you know, we can do things on our own and we don't have to be married, blah, blah, blah. Yes, that is factual. I agree with you. That is very true, right? But living in the United States of America, where everything costs, 2 incomes is better than 1. And again, you guys know that one of my videos that I did, and I'm in financial services. In that video, I stated that when I go into homes, right? When I go into homes, most of the family who I sit down with that had a substantial retirement portfolio are usually married people. The people with the most amount of money in their 401k, in their IRA, in their TSPs or 403b are usually married people. So, how you doing? So, to me, like, I don't know how I want to say this, but most people who choose to be single, in most cases, it might end up being a little bit tough planning properly and saving properly for retirement. Okay? But again, it's not for everybody. Some people don't want to do it. But it is what it is. Okay? Now, I want to touch on this last thing real quickly. Because if we know that most of these people are going to die still on a mortgage, most of them, you come to find out that they don't have any life insurance to allow to pay out to the family so the family can pay off the property. Most people are leaving their family with mortgage debt. They say they're transferring wealth to them, but they're really not. They're actually transferring the debt. If you think about it, if your mom and dad transfer you a mortgage, that's about $3,000, $4,000 a month, and you're a young person and you don't make that kind of money, and they also didn't leave you any life insurance, how can you keep that property? Beautiful day out here in Colombia, right? How can you keep that property if what they transfer to you, you cannot maintain the monthly payment, the maintenance of the property, the potential increase of taxes of the property, right? How can you keep that property? You can't. That property will be foreclosed in less than a year. Okay? So, I want to touch on that article today because this is a scary position. And if you're watching this and you're in your 30s and 40s, I want you to pay close attention. Because I know you might be saying, oh, you're not worried about that. That would never be you. Let me tell you, those same people thought the same thing too. They thought they had a plan. They thought it would never be them either. But then they were, in a way, what's the word? They were, in a way, I don't want to use the word push, but they were sold on the dream. They were sold, how you doing? They were sold on the American dream that you have to be a homeowner and you have to purchase a home and they went ahead and did it. I want somebody to do the numbers for me on that. I want somebody to do the numbers and share with me, because I did the research. And I know most people, and if you're on here and you want to be honest, right? I want you to let me know, when you purchase your home, were you able to increase your savings at the same time? Did you have to decrease your savings to be able to afford the mortgage payment? This is what people do. So you decrease your life savings so that way you can pay for your mortgage payment today. So let me reframe that. You decrease the thing that's going to take care of you in the future to pay for the thing today. I want you to picture that for a second. All right? So this is what I mean when I say that. And I don't know. I personally think that you probably shouldn't be buying a home unless it's two of y'all. Couple power, should I say, right? Unless it's two of y'all. Because it will allow you to pay the mortgage off sooner than later. Okay? And now you can start to really save money for retirement. But if it's just you, unless you're making 180, 200K a year, it might be a little rough. Okay? The average 401k balance right now in America is a little bit under 140,000. I think like 130 something. That's the average. Now we all know that nobody is retiring off of that in America. Nowhere in America can you retire off of 140, and that's the average. And that number is a little suspect, because again, if you factor in high income earners who are thrown into that, that's only about 5% to 1% of the population, right? When you factor those people and you throw their numbers in, it kind of skew everything. So you throwing people who are making $500,000, $1 million, $5 million a year, things like that, it inflates the number. So the number is actually a little bit less than that, to be honest with you. But let's just keep it at that. Nobody can retire off of that in America, which is the reason why you have people working damn near into their 70s. Like, who really want to work in their 70s? You understand? Who truly want to be paying a mortgage in their 60s and 70s? Real talk. Who wants to be paying bills in their 60s and 70s? Nobody. Nobody. But for the fact that everybody jumped into this boat of buy a home, be a homeowner, buy, that's where everybody is where they are right now. That's why they are where they are right now. Right now. I'm meeting people who I sit down with and they're trying to get insurance. They need 1.5, 1.6, 2 million. I give them the number that they need for it. And the first thing that they usually throw out to me, oh, I can't afford that. You know, my mortgage is this amount. That's the first, my mortgage is this amount. That's the first thing that usually comes out. So, you need life insurance. You need a savings plan. And I tell you, it's gonna cost you $500 to $1,000 a month, for example. And the first thing that people say is, oh, my mortgage, yeah, I can't afford that. Now, I'm willing to bet that if they didn't have a mortgage and they were renting, or if there were two of them, you understand? That if I sit down with you and say, hey, you got to put $500 to $1,000 away in savings for retirement, they're going to say, let's do it. Because they have room, they have extra resources. You understand? So, but if it's just one person and you're carrying everything by yourself, paying the mortgage, maintenance, utilities, increase in taxes on the property, by yourself, it's gonna be a little bit rough. It's gonna be a little bit rough. And I know people who make less than 100,000, and they are in these 400K homes. They're making 80, 90 grand a year, and they are in these $400,000 home, $500,000 home, and they start to struggle. You'll be amazed in the past 60 days how many people who I've met that had no life insurance, how many people who I've met that had under $30,000 in their long-term plan. And these are people in their upper 30s, upper 40s. I'm even meeting people in their 50s that had no retirement plan, but they have a mortgage. I want you to think about that for a second. You have no retirement plan, but you have a mortgage though. I need somebody to let me know right now, why does that make any sense? So when I said earlier, you forego the things that's supposed to take care of you in the future to pay for this mortgage now. I need somebody to make that make sense for me. Again, I don't have an issue with a home. Okay? A few months ago, I did a video, and that video I talked about, instead of trying to buy right now, why don't you invest money? Invest your money for the next 10 or 15 years. Let that money grow for you, right? And then take half of that money out. So let's say, for example, you aggressively save the money you was gonna, let's say you sat down with a realtor, and the realtor is telling you, well, your mortgage is gonna be $3,500 a month. You're now renting. Your rent is $1,800 a month, right? That extra $1,700 that you were willing to spend on a mortgage, what if you invested that inside a IUL, for example? What if you invested that in an annuity, for example, in an IRA, for example, and then you come back 15 years later and that thing has grown to, let's say, 500, 600, 700K, right? And now you take that money out, let's say 90% of it, and then you go buy your house cash. But you still got money in there pumping, right? Right? Compounding interest, making money for you. Now, what have you done? You've purchased a home, and now you're debt free. You owe nobody. That's one. Two, the amount of interest that you saved yourself. If that house was 500 grand, you probably saved yourself $1 million in interest. That's your life savings. You understand? You literally pocketed $1 million. Now, that IUL or that IRA or that annuity that you have, right? You can now continue to add on to that. you can continue to add on to that and grow excess money that you can now use in retirement. I want you to just think it. That's what I'm saying. It's just flipping the way that we were thought. See, the way everybody's moving now is go to the bank, get a loan, and pay your mortgage for the next 30 years. What I'm saying is, why don't you save for the next 15 years and then pull money out and buy your house cash where you owe nobody, okay? And then you save yourself thousands of dollars to probably $1 million plus, depends on the kind of house you're buying, right? In interest. Think about it. As you're watching this, I don't want you to get emotional about what I'm saying. I want you to just think about it for a second. Does it make sense? Some people say, hey, well, nobody can save that kind of money. Yes, they can. If you think about it, if you're paying that for a mortgage, you can invest that a month and save that money. You just the same kind of patience you have with paying your mortgage every single month and knowing you have to pay it for the next 30 years is the same kind of thought process that you gotta have when it comes to long-term investment. Okay? I guess the vendors are out today. Beautiful out here today. So yeah, so it's just something that I want you guys to consider today. Alright? Listen, if you hung on with me today for this long and you are not a subscriber, please subscribe. If what I'm talking about makes sense to you, please subscribe. Also too, if you like what I'm speaking on, please hit the like button, okay, and comment also, and maybe share this with other people who you know that can benefit. How you doing? I'm wonderful. That can benefit from what I just talked about today. All right. Listen, hope you guys have a wonderful and blessed Saturday, and I hope you guys get out. Let me turn this around for you guys. It's a beautiful day. Everybody's by the lake. You got a concert about to come on in a second, right? It's a beautiful day out here. So listen, hope you guys have a wonderful and blessed day. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.